Hey, gun people! Well, day after Christmas, I was kind of holding off on dropping this Sonoma County Sheriff beating until after Christmas because I just thought it was so freaking brutal. And there was a lot of comments that suggested I was being unfair and I wasn't seeing the cop's position and the guy stole his car and it was his fault. Man, I'm sorry. I'm going to give you some insight from this sheriff, which I think did a pretty good job of doing this. I'm not going to show the full video again, but you'll know the video. I'll show a piece of it so you know it. But this is his justification, and I'm going to tell you why I think it's BS. But let's see here.
County Sheriff Mark Essick. I'm here to talk to you about a critical incident we had on November 27th. It started when we received a call from the Santa Rosa Police Department that a car, which had been stolen during a carjacking several days prior.
And I have this on 1 and 25 because this guy speaks pretty slow. Or I speak fast, whatever.
Had been located and was on the move. Our deputies responded and tried to pull it over. The driver, 52-year-old David Glenn Ward, started to pull over, but then took off and started a pursuit. What our deputies did not know at the time was that Mr. Ward was not only the owner of the car, but the victim of the earlier carjacking.
Okay, so he's saying what our officers didn't know. You can't justify action on what you didn't know. So, and I'm not sure he's trying to do that here, but he's making it sound like the poor officers were just protecting and serving the shit out of you people. And he also said in a statement that the guy started the pursuit. The guy didn't start the pursuit. He failed to yield, and the officers created the pursuit. The officers decided to chase. The officers followed and pitted and attacked this dude. Now, somebody's going to say, well, Rick, that's their job. They stole the car. If they stole your car, wouldn't you? Well, yeah, I get it. But there has to be a balance, people. I mean, Illinois State Police, they have a no pursuit policy. If you're in Illinois and you speed and you don't pull over for the highway patrol, they can't chase you. They have to stop. They have a no pursuit policy. Nobody in Illinois is saying, oh my God, crime's out of control because they don't chase and kill people. You don't see Illinois State Police chasing and killing people because they have a no pursuit policy. Now, I'm not sure I'm all the way on a no pursuit policy. I think there's some things that you should pursue on, but I said when I was working auto theft, we chased people like crazy because they stole a car and it was a felony and we were authorized. And I've watched people get not killed, but seriously injured and get torn up because we're chasing somebody in a piece of shit car that ain't worth $500. And because it's a felony, we can do anything. So, the sheriff created the pursuit, not the suspect, or not, I'm calling him the suspect. It was his car. And I know the cop lovers are going to come here, Rick, you're not being fair. You know, if you had a car that was stolen in carjack, you would have done the same thing. I would have chased him. I would have probably pitted him. I would have probably took him at gunpoint. I would not have choked him and totally lost everything in my being and not recognize that this guy had a black eye. He had trauma. He wasn't playing with a full deck. He was slow. He wasn't being aggressive. He was being confused or a little pissed off. And in this day and age, you have to realize people have good reason to run from the cops. I used to say people ran because there was no loss of benefit. Now, if the cops catch you, they're going to kill you whether you give up or whether you run. So you might as well take the chance of getting away because the cops are just unaccountable. This is an absolute unjustified use of force. And no matter what anybody tells me about, well, Rick, you have to consider this and you have to consider, I can consider all that for the initial action, for the pursuit, for the pit, and for the gunpoint. You cannot consider that when you get into unjustified force. And this car was stolen 3 days ago or a week ago or 2 weeks before. So you can't say, oh, well, you know what? I heard this person killed somebody 2 weeks ago. So as soon as I see him, I'm just going to shoot him because I'm assuming he's the guy, no trial, no nothing, and deadly force is authorized because he was a suspect in a shooting. You can't do that. So for people and cop lovers to come here and try and justify this, saying the cops are right because they didn't know it wasn't the owner, that's bullshit. You're killing somebody. You need to know why.
The suspect had pistol whipped him and stole his car. Mr. Ward had recovered the car, but failed to report it. It remains a mystery as to why he fled from our deputies.
Doesn't remain a mystery to me. The first thing out of the guy's mouth is, why are you guys harassing me? The guy's probably been pulled over for. He's probably known. He was already in an accident. He had mental health issues. He had breathing issues. He had all kind of medical issues before. If the cops knew him, why didn't they know about his medical issues? And I don't think the cops knew him or recognized him that were on scene doing this. But that doesn't justify their out-of-control, abusive attack and killing of this person. I mean, I just can't believe people are justifying this. Well, Rick, it was a stolen car and it was carjacked and the cops didn't know. So basically everyone out there who's justifying this saying, if government doesn't know, but they think you committed a crime, then they should be able to kill you and it's okay. I mean, that's just absurd.
Once the pursuit ended, Mr. Ward remained in the car and force was used to remove him. Once removed, Mr. Ward showed signs of a medical emergency, and he later died at a local hospital.
He showed signs of a medical emergency before he was removed. His eye was bloodshot. He could have had head trauma. He could have had a concussion. He could have had back injury. When there's an accident, when was the last time cops went up there and grabbed people by the neck and tried to drag them out of the car? There are laws that says you cannot, if you increase the injury for cops, if we go out there and try to extract somebody inappropriately and we cause more damage, we're liable. Well, we're not liable. You pesky taxpayers are liable because they're going to sue the city. But we're not supposed to remove people in an accident if we suspect neck or head injuries. Well, do you think these cops follow that law? Of course not. They were bloodthirsty, freaking out of control. Standard procedure. This is not an isolated incident. Cops do this because they think they can. Not only do they think they can, they know they can because nobody's held accountable.
We will show you the body-worn camera video of the pursuit and other material from this incident. A warning, viewers may find the conclusion of this video.
Okay, so they go through the little pursuit here. They probably paid some graphic guy. This taxpayer money. I like the little flashing bag that's chasing him. Whoever did that little video, I'd like to have their little badge chasing him around. Woo! Look at the police protecting and serving the shit out of you. Hang on, don't run from us, because we're going to kill you. We don't care if it's your car or you're the bad guy. We're going to kill you and then say, you know what? We didn't know. We thought you were the bad guy. Just like when you pull out your wallet. We thought it was a gun. Okay, so they chase him. They show the pursuit. All right, yeah, they're chasing the guy. Big deal. He's running. I didn't see anywhere where the guy caused danger or whatever. And something else that they're not bringing up. I mean, cops tend to leave out things that hurt them. So do attorneys. Matter of fact, attorneys will tell you, hey, don't bring that up. That makes us look bad. And it used to piss me off. I'm like, look, I may not volunteer it unless it's material, but if I get asked, I'm answering. So, well, okay, if he asks you, then you go ahead and answer, but otherwise don't bring it up. Freaking weasel attorneys. I hated that. You know what? It is what it is. But anyway, they're not bringing up that, did anybody say the suspect that carjacked him and beat him was black and this was a white guy? Would that change anybody's opinion if the guy that pistol whipped him was black and they beat the hell out of this guy who was white because they're saying, we thought he was a carjacker? Because that's basically what they're saying. We beat the hell out of him and killed this guy because we thought he was a carjacker. That's what they're saying when they're trying to justify this. And people who aren't paying attention will miss this little slight misdirection. Why don't we have a picture, or why don't we have a description? Why didn't the cops, doing all this long pursuit that they're showing here, why didn't they find out what's the suspect description? Anytime I had a crime, we had a suspect description. Anytime we went on a parole or probation search, we had a suspect, a picture, and their description. Anytime I arrested somebody for a warrant, I had to confirm their description, tattoos, things matched, so we didn't get the wrong person. Why didn't these cops do that? Well, Rick, we don't want to talk about that. We just want to talk about he ran and we don't know why and the car was stolen and cops were justified. Really? Bullshit. There goes a little badge. Woo! Protecting and serving. Yeehaw! Donut Brigade! Here we come! Woo! Bob, we just passed a Krispy Kreme. We'll go back for it, Bill. Don't worry about it. So they show the little thing here where it stops. I'm just going to go. I mean, this is like big deal. Okay, so let's go over. Deputy Little attempts to pit maneuver. Okay, yeah, he does do a pit, and the guy does take off. I'll show this because this is kind of critical. So the guy was definitely fleeing. I get it. All the cops are saying, well, if he hadn't fleeing, run from the cops, it wouldn't be his fault. Well, yeah, running from the cops should not be a death sentence. Not paying your parking tickets should not be a death sentence. Running because you have a warrant for parking tickets and now the cops kill you just isn't reasonable, people.
Sure, before I have 2 units behind me, I don't know if it's Sebastopol or us, but... At this time, the road's too narrow to pit.
Okay, so the cop says the road's too narrow to pit. That tells me he's he's thinking. And this guy following him sounds pretty good on the radio. He's been there, done that. He's been in a few pursuits. He's not screaming. He's not yelling, I need more units. I'm going to pit it. He's not acting like the bald cop was when he was choking the guy and killing him. So the guy chasing him appears much more responsible and thinking. Oh, also something else people were commenting about. Sorry about that. They were saying that I cut this part of the video out. Look, you freaking idiots. I don't care if you call me an idiot and say that I don't know what I'm talking about and then give your opinion. But if you come here and imply that I'm being unethical and I'm actually trying to hide something because I want to push an agenda, I'm going to block your ass. I gave somebody a pass because they said, oh, I'm kind of surprised that Rick didn't show the pursuit. I wouldn't expect that from him. Well, you freaking idiot, you got a pass. Say that again and I'll block your ass because I don't want to read your bullshit. I didn't have this video. When people share videos to me, I show the video I have. And when they release more video or somebody finds out more information, you want to come here and try to hold me accountable for information that I didn't have and then imply that I was somehow lying. So, fuck you. You can get the hell out of here. I'm going to block your ass if you comment like that. Okay, I digress. Let's get going here. Okay, some of the people were complaining that the cops were saying fucking and cussing at the cop and were being too aggressive on the bad guy. Look, I get it. Cops use language that we use for people to understand. When you're dealing with parolees and probationers and people who have been involved and they're crooks and they're gang members, they talk ghetto, down in the dirt, whatever you want to call it, and cops tend to talk that way back to them. I'm not sure it gives us street creds, but it shows we're not, because rookies will get out there and go, please, sir, show me your hands. And the guy will go, man, suck my dick, cop, you're a fucking pussy. And the guy will go, please, sir, don't use profanity at me. I would like you to comply. And then you just get, you get eat up in an area like that because they know you're a dumbass and you're trying to avoid policy and you're new. So, cops learn to talk ghetto. When somebody goes, fuck you, cop, you suck my dick. And be like, motherfucker, I'll put a cap in your ass. Turn the fuck around, show me your hands. So that language is commonly referred to as locker room. Fighter pilots use that language when they're in the combat. Combat troops use it when they're any high-risk situation. Words are going to flow that may not normally flow. I don't have a problem with these cops yelling, calling this guy an asshole, or show me your fucking hands. Some people are saying that's unprofessional, shows a lack of training. Okay, we should have more training. We should send cops to 2 weeks of training on why not to use fuck. Really? That's how you want to spend more taxpayer money, you freaking idiots?
Show me your hands now! Show me your hands!
Okay, so he did wipe out or pit him or use his bumper to push him off the side of the road. Guy stopped at gunpoint and a guy took off. Does that suspicious? Yes. Is this guy a no person? Yes. Does he belong on the ground? Yes. I got no problem with that. What I have a problem with is when a guy starts banging his head and when you stop the guy, he appears a little slow. He appears dazed and confused and the cops continue to beat on him like he's some violent criminal. And the only thing he's done so far is run from the cops, which probably any smart-minded person would do now.
Sure, before he stopped, I didn't make contact, and now he's still...
And by the way, for those people that think pitting is just some fly-by-night thing, pitting and ramming is considered deadly force. because you can cause serious bodily injury and or death. So when you pit somebody, normally it has to be deadly force authorized. So when you pit people, you have to say that he was a danger to yourself or others. I haven't seen where he's put anybody else in danger. He may be a danger to himself, and that's not justified. If a guy tries to commit suicide, you can't shoot him. If a guy holds a gun to his head, you can't shoot him to protect him. So you can't pit somebody because he's a danger to himself, but if he's a danger to others or you're protecting yourself or others, then you can apply deadly force. So that's how pits are justified. Pits, precision, something, maneuver.
Speed is at 73 westbound. Woodfield 63 on the block. Subject refused to show hands, kept moving towards his waist.
Well, he just got rammed, and he didn't show his hands, and he drove off. So when he say he moves toward the waist, that gives everybody the idea, uh-oh, he might be armed. This might be a dangerous situation. This justifies more force. And cops are taught to articulate this. A lot of people are saying cops are taught to say, stop resisting so they can beat the hell out of you. That's not why they're taught that. Cops are taught to verbalize what they're trying to do in order to get people to comply. So when you're fighting for a guy's hands and you're yelling, stop resisting, you're trying to communicate to him, don't pull away. You're also communicating to any bystanders or communicating to other bystanders that you're trying to get this guy into custody and you're trying to articulate for him to stop fighting. And most people, and it's kind of turned into, and I believe now, that cops say that absolutely just so they can beat the hell out of everybody and justify, hey, he was resisting. That's not the original intent and why it was taught.
Just took a right on Sutton. Okay, I'm gonna try and get him up here. Show me your fucking hands! Show me your hands!
Okay, you can tell this cop's more pissed now. He's more upset. To me, this is normal. You're just in a pursuit. You're in a fight or flight. You're trying to talk on the radio, trying to steer, drive. You're trying to comply with policy. You're trying to talk on the radio. You're trying to stay calm on the radio. Meanwhile, your whole body is you have to be very alert in case a guy jumps out and starts shooting at you. So I get why this guy's jacked up. But you need to learn how to control that and dial it in. I've told you many a times, usually in our task force, because we got a lot of pursuits chasing stolen cars, whoever was the primary unit in chasing, because it became a little personal, always disengaged and let the rest of the team take the guy, cuff him, transport him, do things to where it wasn't emotionally involved. Because I know people want to make cops robots, but when you're chasing and people endanger you and you chase them, it becomes a little personal because, like, dude, you could kill my family. You could kill somebody. You're making me chase you and drive like a freaking idiot, even though it's fun and we enjoy it. I mean, any cop that says he doesn't enjoy chase somebody's a liar. It's fun. It's great. I love it. Most cops love it. But you can't love it to the extent that you lose track and you want to kill everybody in order to get your rush.
Turn off the fucking car! Don't move! Get your hands up!
Okay, so we have multiple officers, multiple communications. That's always a problem. Cops are taught to verbalize. It helps us breathe. It helps calm us down a little bit if we're talking and we're breathing. It just keeps us in the game and in a fight and we're giving orders. And unfortunately, when you get multiple cops there, you're going to get multiple orders. I don't think it's intentional. They're not trying to confuse this guy. This is just something that you have to learn through experience to go, you know what? I'm going to let one guy talk and I'm just going to be cover unit and stand back here and react to something if I'm needed. And it usually takes a veteran or more experienced officer to be able to do that. Younger cops or cops that don't get involved in this have a hard time controlling that. And that's when you see this panic, emotional, everybody screaming.
Hands up! Hands up now!
So I think they told him not to move, and now they told him to put his hands up, and then they tell him not to move. Again, the guy's bleeding, and he's got head trauma, I think. I want to watch that hand shift again, because I saw this earlier, and I couldn't figure it out. What happened there? Why did he shift hands?
Don't move! Get your hands up!
Hands up! Hands up!
Okay, so he has a strong hand, and he switches his gun to his non-strong hand, and I don't know why. What is he reaching or doing? Is he going for a taser? I don't know why he did that, because he comes back empty-handed. I wonder what he did there.
Keep your hands up! Hands up!
Keep them up!
Now, you notice the longer this goes on, the less the threat should be. And this is what I call a cool down period or a cooling off period. Sometimes it's good when you're in a pursuit and you get a guy stopped to back up, get your officers, make a plan, have somebody cover him. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to walk up two over here. We're going to clear the car. We're going to make sure there's no one else in the car. You're going to cover him from this side. Just tell him not to move. Just freeze the scene a little bit and let cooler heads prevail. And cops don't do that. And I'm not sure if we're taught to do that, but maybe there should be a policy that when you stop a car, nobody approaches the car for 2 minutes and you have a cool off period. Again, the courts can do things like this when they see government and power getting out of control, and they don't. Just like dogs. I mean, the courts need to take away dogs. I'm absolutely think dogs are just overly abused. They're falsely using for drug hits. They're not kept accountable. It's just a tool to violate citizens. So, and I was a dog handler for most of my career, so don't tell me I hate dogs. Dogs are a great tool when they're used effectively. Guns are a great tool when they're used effectively. Cars are a great tool when they're used effectively. When they're turned against and they're not used except to abuse the Constitution, abuse citizens, then they're no longer a tool. They just become an abusive instrument that government uses. So I think dogs ought to be gone, and I would be okay with the court saying, you know what? You cops are too jacked up when you stop people, and that's why people are getting killed. You need to wait 2 minutes before you go in. Just like when we do knock notice on a house, we have to knock and demand entry before we enter and give people time to comply. They should do the same thing on pursuits as far as I'm concerned.
I don't see any weapons. I'm gonna move back to you guys. Keep your hands up!
Okay, so is this guy really a threat? His hands are up. You see they're empty. He's not complying. He's got a banged up head. You've got his car trapped. He's a non-compliant person. He deserves on the ground. He ran from the cops. I get it, people. I mean, all these people are, Rick, you hid the part that he ran from the cops. I didn't hide it. I said in a video that I think he was in a short pursuit. Big freaking deal. He ran from the cops. People run from the cops for shoplifting. People run from the cops because they got in a fight with their wife. People run from the cops because they're freaking on their way to the hospital because somebody's dying in the car. It doesn't mean that government gets to abuse their power and kill you because you ran from them.
Yep. Keep your hands up! Do not move your hands!
Okay, I don't know if he says they're on a wheel or if this guy is not moving like he's reaching. He is moving from his head to his body up and down like he's confused, like he's disoriented. To me, that's very clear. I mean, look, when you work the streets, you get what I call street savvy. And you learn how to read people very quickly. And you can tell bad guys and good guys and when they're up to something, when they're not, when they're being evasive because they're up to something, when they're just being evasive because they're being a jerk, or because they just want to, do a First Amendment audit, whatever it is. You can read people and tell the difference between dangerous people and people who are confused or just being a jerk. This guy is not a dangerous person. And it doesn't take me long to figure that out.
Sheriff 148, we're at the dead end of Sutton and Hillview Street, Bluefield.
Show me your hands now! Show me your fucking hands!
At least the cop turned off his siren.
Keep your hands up!
Okay, so Deputy Blount is the one that gets relieved of duty, and he's the one that does the most damage. I'm assuming he's a senior guy. He looks a little bit older. I thought I read somewhere that he had 19 years on force, but I can't be for sure on that. But when he shows up, you notice the other officers were kind of staged and holding and really weren't trying to progress this. And when he shows up, he takes control and he sets the tone. And that's a problem. Because he shouldn't be in charge of freaking putting the icing on a freaking donut. So this guy goes, wait, and Deputy Blount, let me get up there. I'm in control. I know what's going on. I want to get to beat the hell out of somebody. He moves right in front of this guy's gun, ignores everyone else's field of fire, and jumps in like hero cop.
Don't put your hands down. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm surprised he didn't shoot him right there. Oh, you notice the black gloves, the fingerless gloves? You know, I ought to talk about cops. I talk about bald cops. The cops that I work with were the bald, always had to prove something, had that tough guy, tough image. I want to be Kojak and beat the hell out of somebody. Don't mess with me because I'm bald and I'm angry. So this is another indicator. The fingerless glove people. Any cop that I've seen with fingerless gloves always were trying to be the tough guy. Had to have something to prove. Had to show that, man, I'm going to get my gloves on. They're not for protecting against bloodborne pathogens. Therefore, I can have fingers, grips, but I look tough with my boxing fingerless gloves. That's another clue for aggressive cops. Just my opinion. Just from what I've seen in my life. You can take it or leave it. Call me a glove bias, or I'm a glove hater, or I'm a glovist, whatever.
Don't move. Don't do it. One hand, unlock it.
You notice his fingers on the trigger the whole freaking time, people? I mean, this guy's just, this is what we call an itchy trigger finger. He's got an itch and he's scratching it with the trigger. And it just takes one mistake. Inter-limb interaction. I do videos on it. When one hand clenches, the other one clenches. You never keep your finger on the trigger because if you fall, slip, fall, grip, do anything with your other hand, the likelihood of you making a fist with your other hand is called inter-limb interaction. And I'm telling you, this cop is itching to shoot this guy.
Put your hands back up. With one hand, unlock it. Now put your hand back on your head.
So we have compliance. We don't, this is what I would call almost, I mean, he's a no person because he's ran. He belongs on the ground. But this is almost a maybe person. Because he's bleeding and he's had head trauma and he looks confused and dazed and he's not saying, fuck you, I'm going to kill you fucking cops, you're not taking me alive. See, we call that a clue. For you people not in law enforcement, when somebody's yelling, I'm going to kill you and you're not going to take me alive, those are clues that the person might be violent or angry. So for you pesky citizens that can't figure that shit out and think that cops have some sort of special training and that they're allowed to beat the hell out of somebody because they say, I'm in fear of my life, well, you have to justify why you're in fear of your life. I'm not scared of this guy. I don't care if he ran. Maybe it's because I've been in so many pursuits and I've gotten so many guys out of car. This guy isn't a threat to me. He's an idiot. He ran. He's being stupid. But I see no danger in this guy. I see kind of a helpless idiot or a foolish idiot that doesn't know any better and he's acting out of confusion or dumbness, not out of malicious intent. But that's me. So we have a guy with a gun here. We have two guys with guns here. This guy has done anything. He's rolled down the window. He's tried to put his hands up. He's tried to put them down. He's been, once he's been stopped, what I would call fairly compliant. He's not 100% compliant, but it almost appears like he's trying to be compliant. Well, it goes bad from here, and everybody saw the video.
Why you fucking harass me?
So this guy put his gun away. You notice that? So in fear of my life stuff should probably end right here. Because there is no reason that they have to yank this guy out. They could have kept saying, open the door, come out. They had the numbers. They had the superior firepower. They haven't seen a gun. They haven't checked where this guy fits the description. So there's all kind of things on why this wasn't justified. And the idiots that are coming here talking about, oh, Ricky ran from him and it was a carjacking and they didn't know and they were just good cops doing their job, protecting and serving us. Shut up, you freaking idiot. I can't believe people are actually trying to sell that to fools and people are buying it. All right, I'm going to jump ahead because watching this guy get beat and his head slammed and the chokehold and basically they kill him. His leg's stuck. Okay, when a guy says I'm getting out, we call that a clue. He may be trying to comply. When he says my leg is stuck, maybe he can't get out. We call that a clue. There's a lot of clues here that freaking the little cop lovers and cop badge kissers that are going to want to come here and say that I hate all cops just because I call them out on bullshit. I don't buy it. So let's jump. Let's jump to the where the cop or the sheriff comes back.
The way Deputy Blount handles the entire situation is extremely troubling.
Extremely troubling. Okay. Now, I think this sheriff already said he noticed him with a notice of termination. And when you terminate a cop in California, you have to go through the process. You have to give him the Scully hearing. You have to go through, his IA, give him a chance to interview. This cop probably isn't going to interview, and they'll end up firing him, not for this action, but for he failed to comply with the IA, and he's required to, and that's a termination offense. So he'll probably be terminated for not cooperating, and it's smart on his part, because if he cooperates, he's going to be screwed. Because there's no way he's going to try some cop-splaining about, well, I was in fear, and I thought the guy was a carjacking, and he ran from us, and I was in fear of my life, and the guy wasn't complying, and when I tried to pull him out, he was resisting, and he pulled back, and then he bit me, and he was showing aggressive response, and I didn't know if he had AIDS, and when he bit me, I was in fear of my life, and he'll come up with all this bullshit, but I'm telling you, this cop was dead freaking wrong. He was out of control, egomaniac, and his ass has done this before, and it's bullshit that cops aren't held accountable.
As a result, I've served Deputy Blount a notice of termination. He has been on administrative leave since this incident occurred, and he will remain on leave until the conclusion of this investigation and all potential appeals in the case have taken place.
So he's the guy that has to fire him, and in California, the firing or hiring authority is a firing authority, so he cannot come out here and say, I've already decided I'm firing this dude. He's gone. He can't say that, because then this cop will win his Scully hearing and he'll get his job back, because he's made a pre-gone conclusion without hearing all the facts. So he's kind of talking legalese crap here, saying once all the facts and blah, 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 he'll remain on administrative leave. Look, I can already tell you, this sheriff's going to fire this dude. He's going to find a way to fire him no matter what, even if he can't fire him for this incident. He'll fire him. But he can't say that because the cop will get his job back.
We release these videos so the community can get as full a picture as possible about critical incidents in our county, regardless of whether it puts us in a good light or bad. Please know that this one person does not reflect the culture of the Sonoma County Sheriff's Office and does not represent the hardworking men and women who work here.
All right, he lost me there. I was defending him. He has 4 stars. He's a good guy. He's going to fire him. Here's where he loses me. Now, he has to say this. No chief or sheriff can get up there and go, I got a problem in my department. My officers are out of control. I'm going to clean freaking house, blah, blah, blah. They just can't get up there and say that as political suicide. The officers will vote on no confidence. They'll say he's out to get him. They can use it against him. So, but when he gets up here and says, this doesn't reflect and we have a high standard, you don't have a high standard, dude. If this cop thinks he can get away with this and he does it when he knows he's on camera, he's done it many times when he wasn't on camera. He's probably done it on camera that hasn't been reviewed. So you do not have a high standard, and this is a cop problem. This is not an isolated incident. But anyway, there it is. There's the additional information now that I have it. I didn't have this information when I did my other video. I'll put a link to the other video if you want to watch the other video I did where everybody was saying I was too hard on the cops and I was mean. Anyway, we'll end that there.